She cleaned their floors for 15 long years. Then one morning she walked into the boardroom and fired the CEO. Everyone called her Miss Denise, not Denise Jenkins, not Denise from accounting, not Mrs. Jenkins like she preferred, just Miss Denise the janitor, every single morning at 5:45 a.m., long before the office lights turned on and the sales team began bragging about numbers and deals, she was already there. She pushed her squeaky cleaning cart past the frosted glass doors of Cresswell Holdings. Her gray uniform had faded with time, and her sneakers were worn flat from walking those halls again and again. She always kept a rag tucked into her pocket, a calm expression on her face, and a steady rhythm in her steps, like this work was part of her heartbeat. In a way, it was 15 years of quiet labor. 15 years of picking up crushed napkins from meeting rooms, collecting gum wrappers from breakroom floors, and wiping fingerprints off elevator buttons no one else bothered to clean. To most employees, she blended into the background like old paint on the walls. When she entered a room, people talked around her, through her, as if she did not exist. Only a few kind souls noticed her, usually interns or temporary workers who had not yet learned that ignoring her was part of the office culture. Denise was not angry at first. She kept her head down, stayed silent, and listened. She listened to laughter coming from corner offices. She listened to conversations people did not bother to whisper. The jokes, the ego, the lies, with nothing more than a mop and sharp ears. She learned everything she needed to know. One day, a marketing employee left a full sandwich sitting on top of a trash can instead of inside it. Denise picked it up and threw it away without saying a word. The man walked past her and did not even thank her. He only said, "Make sure the carpet is dry before the 3 o'clock meeting." She smiled politely and nodded. The next day, he spilled coffee on the same carpet and blamed her for not cleaning it properly. She nodded again. It was not the first time, and she knew it would not be the last. On the 4th floor, a senior vice president named Douglas Fairbanks, loud and always wearing too much cologne, laughed with his assistant and said, "Can you imagine working here your whole life and never even having a desk?" Denise heard him. He did not care. He had no idea who she was. None of them did. The building was full of people who believed their titles gave them value. They believed respect had to be earned through meetings, deadlines, and fancy offices. They had no idea Denise owned more of that company than anyone inside those walls. She never told anyone, not yet. That morning, as she pushed her cart past the executive offices and wiped fingerprints off a glass wall with the company logo, her phone buzzed softly in her pocket. One short message appeared, "We are ready when you are." She slipped the phone back into her pocket. Her face stayed calm. She continued walking, but this time she was not just cleaning floors. She was moving towards something bigger, and no one saw it coming. Long before Denise ever held a mop in that building, she sat at a small kitchen table in Columbus, Georgia, going over business plans with her husband, Roland Jenkins. Back then, Cresswell Holdings was not even a real name. It was an idea scribbled on a grocery receipt. Roland had raw drive. He grew up working his uncle's delivery trucks across Alabama and South Carolina. He understood logistics long before anyone called it supply chain management. Denise was different. She stayed quiet, but her mind was sharp. She saw problems others missed. In 1998, Roland and a friend named Curtis Banning pulled together enough money to start a freight brokerage. One rented office, 2 flip phones, 1 fax machine that barely worked. Denise became the first investor. Her father had left her a small inheritance. Instead of buying a house, she invested in the company. "Put it in your name," she told Roland. "I will stay in the background." He asked if she was sure. She said she trusted him. Over the next 6 years, the company grew fast. Curtis handled connections. Roland ran operations. Denise tracked every dollar. She handled paperwork and contracts through a separate LLC, quietly protecting their future. In 2004, Roland died in a highway accident. Curtis spoke at the funeral like it was a business meeting. Weeks later, Denise was slowly pushed out of communications. Curtis assumed she would disappear. He was wrong. Denise had signed documents proving she owned Roland's share. She could have taken legal action immediately, but she chose patience. In 2007, she saw a job posting for night janitorial staff at Cresswell Logistics. She applied using a fake resume and got hired. Curtis never recognized her. Years passed. New executives came in. A young CEO named Thomas Wexler arrived with fancy suits and big words. Denise stayed invisible. She worked one night at a time, one floor at a time. Cleaning was not just work. It was observation. She watched and listened. She kept notes. She learned who abused company funds, who ignored safety rules, and who punished workers for speaking up. She kept a small notebook hidden in her locker filled with names, dates, and quotes. It was not anger driving her. It was clarity. One night, she overheard executives laughing about underpaid employees. That was confirmation. This company was rotten at the core. She met quietly with her lawyer and handed over years of evidence. The plan was simple. Let them underestimate her. Let them feel comfortable. Then act. The final spark came when Wexler mocked her in a hallway over a spot that did not exist. Later that night, Denise accessed company records and printed proof of executive bonuses while workers lost benefits. The next morning, a fellow janitor cried after being denied time off to see her injured son. Denise made the call. It was time. Within 48 hours, a closed board meeting was scheduled. Denise walked into the boardroom wearing a blazer, not a uniform. Her lawyer introduced her as the majority shareholder. Shock filled the room. Documents were placed on the table. Denise spoke calmly about 15 years of silence and abuse. A vote of no confidence was called. Wexler's contract was terminated. Security escorted him out. Denise did not smile. She simply reclaimed what was always hers. The following week, Denise addressed the employees, drivers, janitors, office staff, everyone. She listened. Overtime was restored. Benefits were reviewed. Wrongful terminations were investigated. Change did not come easily, but it came honestly. Some executives resisted. Denise stood firm. She promoted people who had been ignored. She walked every department. She listened. The building began to feel human again. When asked why she waited so long, Denise always answered the same way. Power only matters when you know how to use it. She waited so the truth could speak for itself, and when it did, there was no denying it. The janitor was never invisible. She was watching the whole time.